It's 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and that's the time when we have fun. It is Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. A little later on in the program, we will talk to Travis Goedken, city manager of Decorah. A lot of things going on regarding the sale of some property in the near downtown area to the school district this week. We'll break that down from a city perspective. A lot of fun stuff happening in Ossian this weekend. Small Business Saturday, some pumpkin decorating contest, some Halloween decorating contest, and a free movie tonight at the Pavilion. Whenever things are happening in Ossian, we get a hold of our friend Clerk Goltz, and he joins us in the not-too-distant future. But first things first, starting tonight and continuing until Sunday, it's the children's show for the new Minowa players. 2 stories about the gold buckskin wincher. It will take place at the new Minowa Players Theater at 906 South Mill Street. And it's always fun to catch up with the creative minds and the entertaining minds of Rick and Sheryl Scheffert. Those 2 will be batting leadoff today on Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Always good to catch up with Rick and Sheryl Scheffert. They are with the new Minowa players and the children's presentation coming up this weekend. I'll start with Sheryl because I try to be a gentleman on this show. You you understand, Rick, but on that end of things, tell us about the children's presentation coming up this weekend.
Well, it's exciting. We have actors age, I would say 9 to 14.
We have 7.
7 to 14. Yeah. It's open to kindergarten through 8th grade. So yeah, it's a question of what we have on stage. Apparently 7 through 14. We have 14 actors this year doing a show. It's a locally written musical by Rick and me, and it lasts about an hour, and it's exciting. How much should I tell you?
All right, Rick, tell us the story about the presentation this weekend. What's it all about without giving up too many spoilers, of course.
Right. So basically, there are 2 people who end up finding the gold buckskin wincher, which is a magical object, and it causes some fairly drastic changes in their lives.
In a humorous
way, yes.
Yes.
And you mentioned you 2 wrote this presentation. Talk about the process of putting something like this together and then turning it into a presentation to put on for the community this weekend. What charges you? What gets you going on this creative process?
Well, I guess what gets me going on it is wanting to have a show that no matter how many kids show up for auditions, they can all be cast in the show. So, we write them so that they're, if we'd had 30 kids, we still could have done this show with all 30 of them. And go ahead.
It's based on a story. Carl Sandburg is a well-known poet and also wrote some children's stories. And the show that we put together combines 2 stories from the Carl Sandburg book called The Rutabaga Stories. So the plot is something that we found or knew, right. Stories that are in the public domain, so a person can do what they want to bring them to life without having to go through lots of legal procedures to do it properly. And so that's exciting that there are such stories. And so starting with the stories, then Rick does the first work of deciding what will be narrator parts, what will be acting parts, in a way that, as he said, makes it available to however many kids want to be stars of this show. And then after he has written the script, then I decide where to insert music, and I write lyrics just kind of out of my head, but that go with the story on the paper, and make music. And actually, this is one that we've never reprised one of our shows before. We've been doing this since 2009 maybe, or several years. Anyway, this is the first time we've taken a story that we previously did and changed it a bit, added a few things, and kept a lot of it the same. So it's been an exciting process.
And to me, that's from an audience perspective, kind of a neat thing, because oftentimes in community theater, you kind of from time to time rehash some of the old favorites. This is something absolutely new that pretty much nobody has seen except the folks who've been working on the show, including you guys. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we did do this show in 2011. So back then,
Okay.
Some people saw it, but as Sheryl said, we've kind of reworked it, although it's very similar to the show we did then. But yeah, so nobody's seen it. Nobody outside of Decorah has ever seen it.
Yeah.
No, and that's a fun part of this presentation coming up this weekend. How long have you been working on this show, from casting the show to auditions to practice, everything like that, heading up into this weekend? How long of a process has that been for you guys?
Well, we started rehearsals the end of August.
Oh.
And we've been rehearsing 3 days a week ever since then.
And Sheryl, tell us about the time schedule, how people can get tickets coming up this weekend.
Yes. We have performances on Thursday evening, Friday evening, Saturday evening. All those are at 7 o'clock. This is approximately a 1-hour show. And then we have a Sunday matinee at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Tickets are available both locally at Oneota Community Food Co-op. You can just go in there and go through the checkout line and ask for them. And also online, our web address for the tickets is New Minowa Players, all one word, .ludus.com. Or if you just Google New Minowa Players, you'll end up on our website, and there are links that you can click on to get there as well.
And Rick, how many children's exclusive shows do you guys do a year?
We do one children's show every year.
And I guess that covers what I've got in my notebook. I'll ask you both, am I missing anything? Anything else you want to pass on, as long as you got the forum?
Yeah, I think that the exciting things that we haven't mentioned include that the kids painted the scenery. You can see some of it behind us here, and did some of the artwork for the posters, and we just try to keep it very child-centered. It's very exciting. There will be probably the opportunity to get tickets just before the show if people are having, I don't know, I don't want to say having trouble, because I don't think anyone's having trouble, but if that's an option that people would want to know about. That's what I can think of.
All right. Anything to add, Rick?
I don't think so.
And I guess how many tickets can be sold per show at your location?
The permanent seating here is 46
Okay.
feet, but then we set up chairs to the side, and we offer kids the opportunity to sit, or adults if they want to sit on pillows up front, and so that expands the number quite a bit. And sometimes so the tickets that are sold just as tickets are for the 46 permanent seats. So anyone who has one of those can sit in a permanent seat. And then there's kind of tickets that say auxiliary seating are for the folding chairs, and we don't sell tickets for the pillows. So that is part of why I say come and find out what's available, because if a family buys tickets and 3 of them are kids, and the kids would like to sit up front, then suddenly there are 3 empty seats. And it's kind of a juggling type of system, but it seems to work well for us. And anyway, I think there are more than 46 seats available, but it's kind of an unknown until we find out who chooses to sit on pillows.
All right, Rick and Sheryl, always good catching up with you. Thank you for your time this morning. Also, thank you for what you guys do to add a lot of vibrancy to the Decorah community. Best of luck with the presentation this weekend.
Well, thanks, and
Thank
thanks
you.
to you also for all you do. It's always great to talk with you here and
Yes, it
see you
is.
other places.
And the children's presentation this weekend coming up at the New Minowa Players Theater, 906 South Mill Street in Decorah. Go on to newminowaplayers.ludus.com for more information or pick up your tickets at the Oneota Community Food Co-op. And a lot of good things going on in the community of Ossian. And when there are things going on in the community of Ossian, we talk to our guy, Clark Goltz. And Clark, it looks like another weekend of fun is upon us in the community of Ossian. What do you got up your sleeve besides big muscles?
Oh, yeah. Besides the big muscles, we've got a lot of stuff going on in Ossian. In fact, it's kind of magical. It's going to start off with a free movie on Friday night at the Pavilion. We've had Pavilion movie nights, as we call them, Friday night at the movies, all summer. And this is going to be probably one of our last ones, but we might surprise people. It's going to be Friday night, October 20th, the last quote movie night that we think we're going to have, and it's going to be Hocus Pocus. Kind of that scary, scary movie.
How'd you decide on that movie?
Well, it was easy because we had to have a Halloween theme, and we heard there might be even 3 witches going around during the performance of the movie that might be scaring a lot of people. And in addition to that, we're going to be having some pumpkin decorating for kids before the movie starts at about 6:30. And they come and they get free pumpkins, and they can decorate them for themselves and take them, or they can decorate them for somebody else in our community. We'll distribute them, and they'll have a little bit of pumpkin cheer.
Is there any charge to partake in these activities?
Not a single pumpkin seed do you have to pay. It's all free. Yeah, it's all free. It's all sponsored by the City of Ossian, the Ossian Crown Club, and also Sundance Travel. So they're all helping us kind of defray the costs. And we'll be having the pumpkin decorating at 6:30, and the movie starts at 7 o'clock. So head to Carey's Park in Ossian at the Pavilion, and that's one of the events for this weekend.
And what type of society has pumpkin seeds as a currency exchange?
Well, that would be probably a very remote society in
Okay.
early times. Yeah, got it.
I'm trying to learn here. You brought it up and got my mind thinking of questions. But speaking of decorating, you've got a fall into October decorating contest taking place. What say you about that?
Boy, that has really taken off. We couldn't believe it. We've got dozens of people who are decorating their homes with either a fall theme or a Halloween theme. And then we have businesses downtown who are doing the same thing. They're either doing scarecrows or they're dressing up the front of their businesses. This is all just kind of connecting to our theme of Hocus Pocus, the free movies, the free events in Ossian. So that's just another thing that's added on there. And we're actually judging the homes for decorating. We're going to award some prizes, and we're doing the same thing with scarecrows and also businesses. So it's really gone over. We have 24 either individuals or people or businesses taking part in it.
And when will the judging take place? And is it just a case of people wanting to see this? Just drive around the community and you'll see a lot of creative people showing off their stuff?
I think that's a great idea, and that's what we're going to do. They'll all be set up by Friday, October 20th, and they'll be up as long as people want to keep them up. As you would guess, it's all free. Just drive around town. You'll see 20 different fall decorating from the hospice. The nursing home in town is going to have a bunch of things out in front of theirs, all the way to a business downtown to houses all around town. So yeah, same thing. It's that weekend starting Friday. And a lot of them you want to see at night because there's quite a few that have lights as well.
All right. And if that weren't enough,
Oh,
Small Business Saturday
that
is
weren't
set for
enough.
this weekend.
Yeah, we got one more thing going on Saturday, Friday and Saturday. We're doing Small Business Saturday. And we know that's in November before the Thanksgiving holiday, but realistically, we thought we need to get people downtown now to get some of their shopping done. So we have a bunch of businesses in town who are taking part in this Small Business Saturday. Go in there and you get some free cider and some free cookies sponsored by Casey's. And we have, again, dozens of businesses, and they're going to have specials going on too. from food specials to discounts on fall items in their gift stores to, I guess the banks are not going to give away free money, but they will give you the best rates on CDs. That's all I know. That's one of the other events. So that's Friday and Saturday in Ossian for Small Business Saturday.
So a lot of things going on this weekend. Anything we're missing? Anything else you got up your sleeve?
Well, we do. We just heard out this week. You'll be one of the first to hear about it. We're going to get the holiday train again this year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we'll give you some details later, but that's coming in December, and that's kind of cool. That's always a big thing. We use that as a way to help restock the local area food bank. So we'll give you more details on that. Just a little tidbit to get you going.
I believe in the biz we call it a teaser, not a tidbit. So
see, but you're so fluent in words. We'll call it a teaser. Anyway, there's a teaser coming up in December. Watch and listen to Darren for more details.
All right, Clark, always good catching up with you and talking about all the good things that are going on in the community of Ossian. Have a lot of fun this weekend. I know you will.
Thank you, Darren.
Clark Goltz from the city of Ossian, all sorts of fun and activities happening there this weekend. Having a conversation this morning with the city manager of Decorah, Travis Goedken. Didn't have time to talk to him earlier this month, but the second meeting, not too bad of an option to get up to date on what's going on in the city of Decorah. And a busy meeting last night. You sold some property, or the council approved selling some property. Travis, explain what went on in further detail.
Correct, Darren. So last night, the council, after the public hearing, after hearing comments and support and opposed to the proposed sale, the council did take action to sell the property. And along with that included a number of easement agreements and facilities use agreement for Parks and Rec to continue to offer programming in all the school facilities and on the existing ball diamonds that were part of the sale until they're demoed for a new John Klein Elementary.
How much will you be selling this property for, and what will you do with those proceeds that you get from the sale?
Yes. So the sale is for $1.975 million. And although the proceeds at this point are expected to go towards the construction of new softball, baseball fields out at the newly purchased Dalen property out off Old Stage Road. And so $700,000 gets us a little more than halfway there. We do also have expectations of soliciting donations from the community. Waverly, great example of a community supported ball complex. I believe they built 7 ball fields purely on donations. So we expect Decorah can also match that level of enthusiasm.
Obviously, there's some relocation of a ball diamond involved in this. There's also a tennis court relocation conversation that needs to be had. What are the options? Where are the location options of moving the tennis courts at this point?
Mm-hmm. So we do actually have a couple of options, as you've indicated there, Darren. 2 of which include city school property in relation. One is down in the same area that they currently are after the new John Klein Elementary is built. Another one is the existing middle school, that's open space on the north side of the old football field there. We do have a third location that arguably a better location. Currently in discussions with a third partner. It's neither school or city-owned property, so we can't really discuss too much about that at this time. But those conversations have gone very well.
And the thing that got me watching the meeting and reading the agenda to the meeting, this wasn't just a straight up sale of property. There was a lot of moving parts, knowing the fact what's underneath the ground more than anything. Is that a fair way to put it?
Absolutely. Somebody might look at even our, what we call city ball field number 2, the one next to the tennis courts there. There's a giant storm sewer that runs right through the middle of that thing at a diagonal that we need to make sure that we've got easement in place, that we don't end up with a school building built over top of that thing. That could be trouble for us. So there are a number of easements that are also considered as part of this sale, whether it's that storm sewer or some water water mains that run through the area, sanitary sewer, even the city's well. We have a well house right there by the baseball field, between the baseball field and the high school softball field. So we need to secure also a 200-foot easement around that for a wellhead protection area. So many moving parts that need to be figured out other than just the exchange of property.
Now, this might be a weird question, but you get those from me all the time, with all due respect. But knowing the fact that the school would need to pass a bond referendum to build a new facility, was there any way that the sale of this property would be contingent on that? Why or why not?
Mm-hmm. So I've had a couple of conversations with individuals asking the same thing, why this sale isn't being made contingent upon the school passing a bond referendum. Well, the absolute truth of the story is the city couldn't necessarily move forward with the Dalen property and what we would be doing out there if our sale was also contingent upon the passing of a bond referendum. And so for all of us, as in the city, the school, the community as a whole, to take a step forward towards this path, it needed to be done outside of the bond referendum.
And when it comes to potential work that will happen out at the Dalen property, is there any timetable or any early discussion of a potential timetable regarding that?
Mm-hmm. So there is a current cash lease for the property where there is cash rented for farm purposes, and Iowa state law requires that a notification that you can't farm it next year be done. I believe it's prior to September 1st. And since we won't own the property, nor was the offer necessarily even made before that deadline, it will be farmed again next year. And so we're looking at, we're not scratching the surface until probably spring of 25 at the earliest.
When it comes to the city's involvement with a potential new educational facility in that area, in the property that you sold last night, is the city's involvement done, or will you be involved in any further discussions regarding a potential facility at that site?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure we'll continue having conversations about it. The city's involvement is probably going to be a lot less so now that the land transfer, we still got to close on the property. So that's one thing that we'll keep going forward with. But there's a few things that we'll still work out in the transition, whether it's keeping access in the meantime to the recycling bins with snow removal, or the transition of maintenance over on the ball fields from the city to the school. So we'll still have some conversations until that full transition's happened.
And if a bond issue is passed, I'd imagine any facility would have to go through the planning and zoning and all that process too, correct?
Correct. Yes, there's still site plan approval process that would have to happen, and again, the city would pick up conversations there, just a little different capacity at that time.
All right, moving on to another issue. You discussed a facility assessment largely due to the building that you're sitting in at the present time. Why is this assessment needed? What is the city's goal of kind of looking at what they have right now?
Mm-hmm. So the goal, I would say, is kind of twofold. One is, so the city, even prior to my hire and arrival here 2 years ago, Darren, had been discussing the future location and existence of the fire station. So is that offsite, on the current site? Is it a remodel? Is it a new construction? What is it? Well, again, I started here 2 years ago and those conversations were happening before then. So to bring this back to the forefront, we've got one existing quote to replace one forced air unit and some ductwork associated with it for $50,000. What other costs are we going to incur in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years if we do nothing with this building? This is going to achieve two things. One, it's going to be a discussion point for moving forward with that fire station remodel discussion. If that number comes back at $2, $3, $4 million over the next 10 years, suddenly that $10 million price tag on a full renovation and addition to the existing building might, that would be a discussion point of, do you do nothing and spend several million on the building itself, or do you do the full remodel addition? Secondly, if the answer is not pursuing the remodel, we at least know what we need to budget for in the next 2, 5, 10 years to, whether it's remove, excuse me, sorry about that.
Saving energy as we speak, though. So,
yep, sustainable efforts here with motion sensing light switches. But again, we would at least know what our anticipated costs are to maintain this building, to address accessibility concerns or code issues. That would help us budgetarily.
And how are the improvements to that facility or any city-owned facility financed?
Could be any number of things. Could be combination of course, property tax, which is the single largest source of revenue for cities here in the state of Iowa. Could be potentially hotel motel excess. The city can use up to 50% for non-tourism related activities. It could be a combination of water and sewer, since it's administratively we cover a number of those tasks here in City Hall. So there's a couple different sources that we could use to help defray some of those costs.
Prior to the council meeting last night, a work session was held regarding the wastewater treatment plant. How did those talks go?
Went really well, Darren. A lot of people, wastewater treatment plants. It's not. I appreciate you bringing it up because it's something that the general public doesn't often think about until there's a problem. But our plant is 40 years old, and quite honestly, even said by the engineer that discussed this last night, our staff out there has done a phenomenal job of in-house maintenance to really extend the life of the plant. But we're we are actually beyond the expected life of several mechanical components out at the wastewater treatment plant. We discussed about $4 million in plant replacement, equipment replacement, within the plant, as well as about $1 million of potential solar and battery that would then help lower our energy rates as well as usage out at the plant, because the way Alliance rate is structured, it's all based on peak demand. That's where the battery comes in, that shaves off that peak, keeps our rate and our usage lower.
Another issue that's at the forefront, fiber to the premise. What's the latest on that?
So first and foremost, we do have a vacancy on the telecommunications utility. And so if you are listening and you are eager, excited about fiber to the premises and willing to pretty much be one in charge, one of 5 members that are going to be running the show here, we've got some work to get done. We are nearing the finish line. I would just encourage everyone anyone listening, reach out, ask about the telecommunications utility and being on it.
You read your cue card very well. That's where I hoped you were going on that end of things. Leaf pickup going to start pretty soon. Watch Mother Nature cooperate. Is that correct?
Correct, Darren. We've talked about when to start our routes. We have made some changes here as of late, to increase the efficiency. We've now gotten a 5-person operation down to a 2-person operation with the purchase of the leaf vac. But again, with that purchase, we did slightly change the way leaf collection works. We do have an excellent video on Facebook that helps people understand the way the leaf vac operates. Please do not rake or blow your leaves into the gutter line anymore. Keep them on the back side of the curb. That way the vac can drive over, vacuum them up, keep them away from obstructions, whether it's electrical pedestals or trees, signposts. Keep them away from that so the arm can reach the leaves.
All right, and as this will air on Thursday morning, absentee balloting now available for the upcoming city elections. Any good reminders that we need to know regarding that? Because by the next time we talk, the election will have taken place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I would first off encourage everyone to take a look at the city's website on the home screen with your ward map. With the 2020 census, ward maps are redrawn based on new census block data. And so if you used to live in Ward 1, you may very well be Ward 5 now, and a couple other shifts in there. So please go to City of Decorah's website, look at the zoning map, make sure you are in the correct map, or excuse me, correct ward, and know where to go ahead and vote and who you're voting for.
Anything else up your sleeves besides big muscles, of course?
No, I think, Darren, you know what? We covered a whole lot already in this segment, and in that council meeting, we're good to go.
All right, Travis, appreciate the time and the update on everything going on in the city of Decorah. Look forward to chatting with you again next month.
Thank you very much, Darren. Looking forward to it.
Travis Goedken, Decorah City Manager. Hey, thank you to our guest on the program this morning, Rick and Sheryl Scheffert from the New Minowa Players, their children's show. 2 stories about the gold buckskin whincher. And that will take place tonight through Sunday at the New Minowa Players Theater at 906 South Mill Street in Decorah. Tickets at the Oneota Community Co-op or newminowaplayers.ludus.com. Also want to thank Clark Goltz. All sorts of fun things happening in Ossian. Free movie tomorrow night. Pumpkin decorating contest. Some businesses decorating for Halloween. And Small Business Saturday coming up as well on Friday and Saturday in Ossian. Want to thank Clark for his time this morning. And all sorts of information from the city of Decorah and what's going on right now. I thank Travis Goedken for his time in information as well. Don't forget, we put these shows on YouTube each and every week. We realize you're busy. You can't always be near a radio or near a streaming device on a Thursday morning at 9 a.m., but we want to bring you this information on your schedule. Dial us up. If you're out on YouTube, just look up 10-19 Our Town program. That's a great way to search it. We also put these up on our Facebook pages as well of all of our LA Communications radio stations. The best way that we can stay in touch with you. Thank you to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. Thank you to our guest. And most importantly, we thank you, that's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.